Let's start with Coinbase. You heard Brian Armstrong earlier this morning on Squawk. Heard you talking about it a moment ago with Joe. This reference price at 250, below where it was trading in the private markets.
Yeah, look, I mean, that's a joke. It doesn't help. It doesn't reference anything. And I was listening to Andrew's unbelievable interview. I mean, you can tell this is the one. This is the scarcity value one. And I wouldn't be surprised if it ultimately gets to 600. That's Lisa Ellis's target. She's been spot on everything crypto. And it's going to take from initially Square's going to go up because Square's been the way. But ultimately, the way to play Bitcoin, if you're a mutual fund, will not be Square anymore. It's too derivative. It will be Coinbase. And a lot of people, I think, are going to be impressed with what Armstrong talks about because he sounds like a banker. He looks like a banker. The CFO is a banker. So suddenly you say, you know what? Let's stop comparing this to the New York Stock Exchange because it's got much more growth. Let's stop comparing it to a mid-sized bank because it's the only way to play crypto. So, Carl, I say all systems go on this one, and I don't think that reference price should even be in the equation. It's going to go much higher from the get-go.
Yeah, you mentioned Armstrong talking about institutional growth and the way in which institutional players have come in after retail. Here's what he said on Squawk.
Right.
Our trading volume is from our institutional customers. And this business is a lot newer for us than our retail business. The institutional business is only about 2 years old. And we're still earlier in our process of monetizing that customer segment. But, you know, just kind of zooming out from a macro point of view, I think the majority of money in the world is actually tied up in institutions. I think it's maybe 80 or 90%. And so we expect that business to be really big over time.
It was in response to a question, David, from Andrew about big players like Bill Miller and Dan Loeb getting into the space, and also comments about from Peter Thiel about China's at least early dominance in the space.
Yeah, well, listen, when they, years ago, he, as detailed in an interesting journal story this morning, he had indicated he believed it could become $1 trillion market. We're already past $2 trillion, right? Bitcoin's value about half of that, Jim. And I think your point's the important one. For those looking for some sort of exposure to the growing importance of cryptocurrency, they're not going to buy the currencies, they're just going to buy this.
No. Yeah. You know what's really great about this, David? It's not just Bitcoin. I mean, you get them all.
Right.
You get Ethereum, which I actually think is doing incredibly well. And I want to know where my money is if I'm doing crypto. And there's a lot of guys who are offering a huge amount of interest. And I wonder how they're going to do, David, if you're getting 8% of your money. Doesn't that, it's a little frightening. That's not them. That's the other guys.
Right. Right. It can be. But go through. I mean, I'm looking here. Everybody's starting to build their models on Wall Street and revenues in terms of what they're expecting. 21, 22. I'm looking at a research report here. What, 4.6 billion to 6.5 billion. Adjusted EBITDA 2.4 to 3.5. I mean, are you using anything, Jim, in terms of what you expect the EBITDA of this company to be in a number of years and discounted cash flow and sort of gets you to a number now? Or are you just saying, based on what I assume will be enormous demand for exposure to this industry, this stock's going to go higher?
Yes, it's quarterly trading volume that that you can use, David. I think that when you start doing any other method other than maybe sales, and even there, I think it gets you to 15 times sales, which I think is very reasonable. That's what I used last night on Mad Money. That's a $475 stock. So that's going to be my base case. That's the base case. And frankly, David, I mean, if you're a mutual fund, aren't you under tremendous pressure to be able to show that you at least know that there's such a thing as crypto?
Yeah, you probably, Carl, want some form of exposure to it. At least say, hey, we get it. Again, Carl, we should point out the experience has been so far. These direct listings, we don't see them actually priced for quite some time. So it could be later today before we really see where this thing actually opens.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.